Get full access to over 20,000 episodes with your free trial. MyOutdoorTV. Sign up today.
In the middle of August, the open season for Roebucks begins in Sweden. Southern Sweden is known for its magnificent Roebuck trophies. Jean-Dominique Strom and franz-albrecht oettingen-spielberg are annual guests at Trolle Ljungby estate when the season opens. We have witnessed how the two friends arrived at the estate and prepared for the hunt. And we have heard the tales and seen the photos and footage of some of the bucks and some of the hunting highlights from the year before. No wonder that expectations are sky high. Now the fields and forests around the impressive 17th century manor once again will be the scene of amazing hunts. It is the 16th of August and franz-albrecht oettingen-spielberg is more than ready.
So, now it's time. The Franz buck.
Yeah. And you can see the potato field.
Yeah.
Potatoes very high.
Very high.
A few times I have seen him in the potatoes, but in the other end.
Okay. Close to the wall?
Yes, but behind, on the other side of the potatoes field, we got what do you call it? A grøft. You know, with water in.
Yes, okay.
There's no water in, but it's a little high, and the vegetation is so high.
Okay.
And behind that, there's what do we call it? A brack.
Brack,
field,
yes.
yeah.
Like
yeah.
just long grass.
Yes, like here. And it's his favorite area.
What about calling him? Do you think there's a chance to call him?
Yes, yes. I saw 3 days ago in the morning. I saw 2 females out there, and he was there with a third female.
Okay.
So
he's still in the rut.
Yep.
Okay.
So.
I mean, it's a long story.
Yeah.
Last time, well, the first time we started hunting him was 4 years ago, 2014.
Yes, we have.
So this is the 4th year, actually.
Yeah.
In 2014, we thought he was around 4 years old.
Yeah.
He probably had his biggest antlers then.
Yeah.
And then 2015, he went a little bit back.
Yeah.
2016, he really went back.
He was back, and now he's back in
he's quite good.
Yeah.
But he must be 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
We tried to shoot him every year, and I've never actually seen him in real life. Because every time on the 16th, when we arrived, he suddenly disappeared in the forest.
Yeah. He knows the date.
He knows the date, exactly. So today we're going to give him a good chance.
I hope
is the potatoes a good source of food for them at the moment?
No,
it's just cover.
Yeah, just cover.
So where would his females go to feed?
Field.
The bark field.
And this for the bark field on the other side of the tree. So this there's I saw it Sunday. It was high grass. They have not cut that grass Sunday. Maybe they go in.
Okay. And I saw, or Linus told me that there's on the field next to the forest, there's cows.
Yeah, on the other side.
Does he mind the cows, or could he also be in the field with the cows?
I have never seen him out there.
Okay.
I have never been close yet on the sea.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll just take the whole morning and take it very easy, go slow, and hopefully spot him somewhere.
He will be there.
He must be there, yeah.
So.
Great. Thank you. So, it's the first day, opening season in Sweden, 16th of August. 6:05 in the morning. We had our first coffee at 5, but it's been very dark. The sun is not out. And we just wanted to wait until it's a little bit more light while we stalk in, because we don't want to spook him, and we can see him much better now. And our plan is just to move slowly towards the forest. The wind is straight in our face, and hopefully we'll be able to spot him somewhere. Taking the shot will be difficult because the potatoes are very high. The long grass in front of the forest is also high, so hopefully we'll be able to find a spot where we see parts of his body. A neck shot is possible today because we have absolutely no wind, which means that the bullet will fly straight, because on a neck shot even 2 or 3 centimeters of windage would make a huge difference. But we're definitely going to take our chance when we get it, because 4 years has been a long time to try and find him, and he's so old now he could die at any time in the winter. So that's the plan.
Franz-Albrecht knows the area from previous years, and being an experienced hunter, he has a good idea of how to address the challenge of finding the Franz buck.
I'm just gonna keep glassing on my way down into the potatoes. And hopefully, or maybe I'll be able to see the antlers poking up. And I'm just gonna take it really, really slow. The potato field is huge. You can just see the end of it down there, where the bigger bushes start. And then from that line into the forest, it's about another, I would say 100 meters, 120 meters wide, deep, and about 300 meters wide. And in that long grass is where Finn expects him. But he could also be in the potato. I hope he's in the long grass. And we'll move all the way down, and we will stand on the little dam, find a nice position, elevated position, and then start calling. Ideally, he will come to our call. If he doesn't, he may at least poke his head up, and we'll be able to locate him. And as soon as we've located him, we're in a pretty good position. So that's the first main goal, of course, is to locate him, and then see how we can get close.
So far, no sight of the quarry, but a careful approach is needed. If laying down, the buck can be almost impossible to see in the potato field. The buck, on the other hand, will have a clear view of the approaching hunter through the stems of the potato plants. The dense cover and the good view is probably the reason why deer often choose potato fields as a place to rest. An old, experienced buck like the Franz buck will most certainly know the advantage of this. Who will outwit who in this situation?
I just scanned the side of the forest, and I saw a female inside the forest, and just walking along the edge of the trees. So she could be with him. He could just be lying down. I don't know. What I'm feeling is, even though there's no wind, and I mean even though there's only a bit of wind, I saw. Even though there's only a slight slight bit of wind, which was in our faces when we came. It is now turned and I can feel it in the back of my neck. So we really have to be careful where we position ourselves so the buck doesn't wind us. There's one female inside the forest that I've just seen. But in general, deer activity has been very low. We haven't seen anything. So I'm thinking that it will be a later morning and animals will rise maybe in an hour or two, which is good for us, so we'll be in position once they come out. Getting really close. You can just begin to see the long grass behind the potato field that's leading up to the forest. And in that field of long grass is where we expect his main area and territory is. So my plan is we move up to the ridge line, and we start on the side here, and we just find a position and start calling quietly, and hopefully he'll pop up somewhere or even come.
There he is, hidden in the dense plant cover. The buck has all the advantages. Franz-Albrecht must be ready for any further development and adjust his plans.
Spooked him. He was maybe 20 yards in front of us. And he jumped into the high grass. It's just in the back there, just going into the big bush. We spooked him. Our wind is straight in his face. What we're going to do is we're going to walk along the ridge line, find a position, wait 20 minutes. Within 20 minutes he should, he wasn't spooked badly, so he should be relaxed enough to forget about what just happened. And then I'm going to start calling him quietly. Maybe he'll come out again. But he's a nice looking buck, he's quite heavy, dark antlers, big neck. And at that age they're really clever, so we've got to be smart on how we approach this. Didn't have a female. I think we're just gonna set up here. We have this line of thick bush in front of us that he moved into when we spooked him. Wind is back in our face. I can just see the left side of the bush and the right side of the bush. We'll give him 15 minutes to calm down, and then I'm quietly gonna call him. He didn't have a female, which is great, because that means he might react to the call better than if he had a really rutty female with him. He probably wouldn't react. Otherwise, if he doesn't come to the call, the chances are, it's still very early in the morning, so the chances are, until later in the morning, at some point, he's going to come out and just walk around his territory, marking his territory. I think we've got a pretty good chance. It's overclouded today, so it's not too hot. And it's just one of those mornings where you feel something could happen.
Using his shooting stick, Franz-Albrecht is ready for immediate action. Shooting sticks have undergone an immense development during the last couple of years. The modern four-legged shooting stick supports the rifle at 2 points, which gives it an extreme steadiness and increases the accuracy of the rifle shot. It takes a little time to get familiar with it, but once that is done, the use of the sticks adds a lasting improvement to hunting. For a keen rifle hunter like Franz-Albrecht, a shooting stick is an obvious thing to use, valuable in most hunting situations, but almost indispensable in a situation like this, with high vegetation and possibly long shooting distances. The steady support of a four-legged shooting stick makes it easy to use the binoculars or the roll call and still be ready if the chance of taking a shot should suddenly arise. So far, though, nothing happens. But the Franz buck, here on one of Finn Saxloo Andersen's photos, is certainly worth waiting for.
Just see the fox inside the high grass, and what was nice to see for us is that there's actually some patches where the grass is relatively low. So if the buck was standing where the fox is right now, his whole body would be free for me to take a shot. I'm gonna start calling quietly. I'm hoping the buck will approach us alongside this row of hedges, either on the right hand side or the left hand side. I hope on the right, so I'll see him from further away. Most likely he'll give me a frontal shot, so it'll have to be a neck shot. If he doesn't react at all, we'll just stay here all morning and hope that he'll come out in the field somewhere marking his territory. And we've waited about 15 minutes since we saw him. Weather is calm, wind is good. Let's see what happens.
The roe deer call imitates the sound that a doe gives when on heat. Franz-Albrecht hopes that it will bring the buck out in the open again. Patience is needed. Often it pays to call, wait, and then call again. Even if the buck didn't react the first time, it can suddenly give in to curiosity and instincts when the calling is skilled and persistent. Normally, the rut is most intense in the end of July and the beginning of August. By the 16th, the main rutting season is drawing to an end, and the call isn't always as effective as it would have been a fortnight before. But it is important to keep alert. You never know what will happen next, and Franz-Albrecht keeps his rifle ready for immediate use.
That's him.
The buck is clearly reacting to the call, but after being spooked earlier, it is clearly suspicious, and the odds are against Franz-Albrecht.
Saw him. He was I think he was doing his territory walk along the ridge of the forest, but it was just too far for a shot. It was 445 meters. And he was definitely reacting to the call. But I think what he's doing, he's searching for his females, and he knows they are in the forest. That's why he went in. And he's gonna do a round and maybe reappear somewhere here. But he's a really nice looking buck. Deep, dark antlers.
No, the Franz buck hasn't come out again. Franz-Albrecht sees if the call can have an effect. Then turns the muzzle into the direction from where the buck, in his opinion, is most likely to appear. And suddenly, a movement catches his eye. A roe deer is moving slowly through the long grass. Could it be the buck? No. A closer look reveals that this time it was a false alarm.
It's a fawn. There he is, coming on the field towards us.
This looks better, but
I don't think it's him.
no, it isn't. It's most certainly a good buck, but not one to be shot. His appearance might be an advantage, though.
It's a younger buck, but he's reacting to the call. And if the old buck sees that the young buck is coming towards us, he may come out and chase him.
The young six-pointer is moving about in the meadow. Franz-Albrecht can once again focus on the Franz buck. It might be resting in the wood. It might be with a doe somewhere. But it could also have moved back to the area where it was disturbed. Franz-Albrecht is alert. A third buck enters the scene.
It's a yearling.
The slim body and the childish curiosity reveals the young age. This is not what Franz-Albrecht is looking for. Instead, he turns his attention to the area in front of him, continuously using the roll call and constantly scanning the area for even the slightest movement that could reveal the presence of the old buck that he is after.
We've been calling for 1 hour now. We saw a small yearling from the left who came in the call, right downwind from us. And we saw a younger buck that came about 400 meters into us, but then stepped off the side, I think because he was scared of the big buck. We had one yearling come out of the forest just now. And of course we saw the big buck moving along the ridge of the forest, so we've seen 4 bucks in total. But we haven't seen the big one for some time. The grass is so high, he might be around, but we just can't see but it's only 7:45. We've got at least another 1 or 2 hours. And hopefully he'll be back.
Slowly, franz-albrecht moves to a better position. Any sudden movements are liable to reveal his presence.
Just move to a slightly higher position, which gives me a bit more elevation and I can look into the higher grass.
It is important to secure that everything is working before a chance might arise. Moreover, it is essential that he keeps track of the other deer in the area. If he spooks them, the disturbance will also alarm the Franz buck.
There's a weather front coming in, probably with some rain. Activity's been really low. So we're just gonna leave it here now, go for breakfast and come back later. But we saw him twice. That's more than we have done in the last 4 years combined. So maybe tonight we'll be done.
If the weather change wasn't coming through, I would stay there probably all day just to see when he's around again. But I think with this weather change, we have a great chance to go in, have some breakfast, wait until the rain has come through, and after the rain, the activity should be really good. But he's a clever buck, and I think what we'll do tonight is basically go to exactly the same place where we were. I'm slightly worried about the wind that was quartering sort of into that hedgerow. So if the wind is the same again tonight, we'll have to maybe change position, but hopefully it will be better. And then we can stay in exactly the same spot, which means that we can see the left-hand side of the hedgerow and the right-hand side of the hedgerow. And on one of the sides, he'll appear at some time tonight. And then hopefully we'll get a shot, because that's actually the next problem. With all the stuff being so high, getting a clear shot will be tough. Mate, it's come. Let's get the flesh. Mate, let's get the flesh. It's come. It's 12:30. Lunchtime, and we have one buck that we call the old abnorm, which is right behind the hunting house. And last year he was abnormal, and I think on his right side. We thought he was about 4 years old, and we wanted to give him another year, even though he was abnormal, and we knew that it was probably not going to be abnormal this year, because it looked like an injury he received during the velvet time. This year he looks good. He's got big coronets, they're flat on the head. He has nearly no front points and nearly no back points, and just long spikes, basically. Very Swedish-looking bucks in my eyes. Quite narrow, good purling, and the right age to take him now at 5, maybe even 6 years old. And lunchtime is always a good time to try and call them. They're up again from their morning sleep. They might take a little tour around their territory. Maybe he'll go into the carrot field where he usually is seen for some food, and we're just going to try and find a place inside the forest where we call him, because he was seen this morning by Finn and he didn't have a female. And since the rut is still going on, maybe finally a Swedish buck will react to my calls. Mate?
So, we're now on the edge of the forest. The wind is swirling. We're just before a weather change. It's actually not ideal. But we're gonna try anyway, so we're just gonna walk down the track, nearly up to the carrot field, find that position, just start calling, see what happens. Maybe call for an hour, and if nothing happens, we go home and take a sleep. Try again in the evening.
On the road again, laziness is rarely rewarded when hunting bucks.
is really bad for the position that we want to find. So I think we're going to have to keep walking and cut across the carrot field to have the wind in our face, and then try and call him from the edge of the carrot field. The wind's right in the back of our necks right now. Wood is his main territory. The wind is in the back of our necks. So I'm thinking we're going to move down the edge of the carrot field, around halfway down, which will then mean that all of the left-hand side is upwind of us. And we'll start calling down there, and hopefully he might come towards us along the edge of the wood. Or if he doesn't want to come to the call, he might just come out on the carrot field to feed at some point. That's the plan. We've crossed the carrot field. You can actually see our hunting house in the background. The wind is now in our face. The main territory of the buck is right in front of us. But I just want to move maybe 20-30 yards into the forest, so that he can't get around the back of us and wind us without me being able to see him move in the forest. So the idea is that I can see inside the forest and at the same time watch the carrot field. So we just need to move in, maybe 50 yards on. The wind is like this. I'm expecting him to be in front of us. Ideally, I want to find a place with cover, where maybe my shooting lane is not perfect, but at least he won't see me, so I'll have time to adjust. In here, I'll be able to see him. I can also see the carrot field. And before he comes through this clearing, I'll be able to take him because the wind is just like this. So the setup here is perfect. I'm actually just going to use the tree as a rest instead of the shooting sticks because I'm quicker and more agile depending on where he's coming from. And the shooting distance is actually not going to be more than maybe 70, 80 meters. Actually see right here. This is a scrape, so we're in the center of his territory. My magnification is on about 3 because he could come very quickly. And also if he's moving through the trees, I need to be able to see when I can take a shot and where the next tree is coming into sight. So low magnification for this situation is best. It's 5 minutes to 1 right now in the afternoon. And I'm gonna call in until around 2 o'clock. If he's not here by then, I'll go back to the hunting house and have a nap.
There was the buck. It looks like the right one, but he is moving fast.
That's him.
Franz-Albrecht wants to move to a better position. But the buck apparently doesn't intend to wait for that. Where is it heading?
So while we were calling inside of the forest, we saw the buck that we're looking for out here in the field, and he didn't react to the call at all, but I'm pretty sure what he was doing is he was following a female in heat who had been walking there before, and he was just following her scent. So the question is, I mean, he's out of his territory, that's beyond his territory. The question is whether we follow him to the next ridge line and see whether he's on the other side of the field, or whether we just stay here and wait, because he's going to have to come back. I'm a little bit undecided. So we've decided to stay. Just give him half an hour, or maybe an hour, to see whether he can find the female or whatever he's chasing. But in the end, he's going to have to come back because we're in the center of his territory. And we've got a great open view, so he can't get past us without us seeing him. And I'm going to keep calling, so maybe he'll even come back on the call.
With a four-legged shooting stick, Franz-Albrecht can use both hands and still be ready for immediate action.
So, he's definitely going to come back. It's just a matter of time. I don't think calling will make much more sense. I'm just scanning the field to see how long it takes until he comes back, but he will come back before tonight. because he has to be back in his territory to defend it from the other bucks. And where he is right now, he's definitely not in his territory. It's an excursion to find a female.
One of the advantages of hunting in the rut is that the deer can be active around the clock. Often, in fact, hunting by noon can be rather successful if the area is otherwise undisturbed.
So again, middle of the day, sometimes it's actually a very good time during the rut, especially to look for the roebucks, because we've just seen that the so-called murder buck, he's just got 2 spikes, came out with his female to feed. And he's actually also on the list this year to shoot, because he's actually coming right now. He's coming. The murder buck again that we have on the list. He's just got 2 long spikes on both sides. Finn has pictures from him from the last 3 years. He's never developed into anything interesting, and they've this year decided to cull him because he's a management buck, meaning that he doesn't have the genetics that they want. He has, due to the fact that he has no substantial brow tines or back tines, while he's fighting with other bucks, his 2 spikes will go straight through the antlers of the other ones into the head or neck, and he could be deadly for some of the other better bucks. He's very concentrated on his female right now. He's not even listening to what I'm doing or what I'm calling. So I think what we're going to do, we're still waiting for the big buck to come back into his territory. But while we're doing that, we can stalk down the edge of this forest. Actually, I think we might be lucky and the buck might be coming.
The doe and the buck seem to enjoy a quiet period. The activity patterns in the rut can change during the day, especially if the doe isn't quite ready for mating yet. In that case, the buck will always keep close. At regular intervals, he will check up on the situation and perhaps try to initiate the process. The 2 deer will have to move closer if franz-albrecht is to shoot the buck, but at the moment, nothing seems to happen. And now it seems that the buck has decided to take a nap. This can be a long wait. That leaves it to franz-albrecht to take the initiative.
The buck has decided to lie down in the carrots. He's not reacting to the call. It's a long distance shot with this amount of wind. And I think the easiest may be just to step 20 yards into the forest and stalk along the forest line and wait until he gets up and get a close distance shot.
Covered by the trees, franz-albrecht moves closer.
The buck is up again, the female also. And I'm just gonna go to the lower green brushes inside the forest and try and take a shot from there.
From the chosen spot, franz-albrecht has a good view. In the carrot field, everything is still calm. Franz-albrecht slowly gets ready to take a shot. The buck just has to move a little bit now, but it is more than that. The use of the roll call had an unexpected effect. Now the buck is clearly ready for action. The two deer are constantly moving about, and franz-albrecht must be ready to shoot as soon as he gets a chance. It certainly is an interesting opportunity to study roe deer rutting behavior. The doe is constantly rejecting the buck, but with a constant stimulation, he will be able to change this behavior. For a hunter, patience is a must in a situation like this, where the deer are constantly moving about, partly covered, making it difficult to get the possibility to take a shot. A nice try to make the buck stand still, but unsuccessful. The buck is too busy to react. When waiting so long to get a shot, hunting fever can emerge, even for experienced hunters. Franz-albrecht must try to focus. Quivering hands aren't compatible with steady shooting. two deer started moving around just as Franz-Albrecht was ready to shoot, and now they just keep on. This is one of the unforeseen moments that makes hunting in the rut so fascinating.
So the female doesn't see us. She doesn't really seem to know what's going on, and we don't want to spook her in the future. Well, that took a long time. I just couldn't get a clear shot because he was always in the carrots. But he's a really good management buck. He's very, very pointy in his tops. And I think he can really do damage to other bucks. And like Finn said, he's seen him 3 years. He's never changed. And he's a perfect buck to take out. Anyway, there's been quite a lot of time since we shot the first buck, and we're still waiting for the big one to come back. I'm still hopeful, but I just want to get the first buck we shot, bring him here, and gut him, because with the sun, and even though the weather's quite cool, I don't want the meat to go bad. Been waiting now for some time since we shot the first buck for the other buck to come back, but he hasn't come back. There's just a female moving through the field here quite quick. Just sneak back to the car and get my little friend Macy to help me.
From a distance, it seems easy to mark the exact spot where the buck dropped. But once out between the monotonous rows of carrot tops, it is not necessarily easy to find the buck, hidden as it is in the dense vegetation. Here it can be better to rely on a good nose than on vision. Franz-Albrecht has cleverly sought assistance from an expert. With the help of Messi, the hunter soon finds the red buck in the green ocean of vegetable tops. Franz-Albrecht takes it back to the woods before gutting it. He still hopes that the older buck will come back through the field and doesn't want the strong-smelling guts out there to distract it in any way.
Macy found it in 2 minutes. Now I'm just gonna gut him so that the meat doesn't go bad. And then we'll lay low, because I still think the big one could come back.
With skilled movements, franz-albrecht starts gutting the buck. This is particularly important when temperatures are high, like they are on this day in the late summer. Having taken out the intestines, the urinary bladder is carefully removed too. Then the carcass is emptied of any remaining blood. Being German, franz-albrecht follows the ancient Central European tradition of giving the buck a last meal. This is a way of showing respect for the quarry, and even though it is not a custom in Sweden, the German guest finds it a natural thing to do.
Not the big one, but
the first one.
The first one.
Very good.
Yes.
Very
Here
good.
he is.
And you told me during the day sometimes not too bad.
At lunchtime.
You called him.
No, he was. We called another one, and the other one came, and then followed the scent of a female halfway. So he came, he turned, and went back, following a female, and we waited for him to come, and then this one came out with his female next to us. So we stalked him for a while, and it was quite difficult to get a shot, and blah blah blah. And
You knew him?
good story.
Yeah. What's on the paper? From pictures from last year, last day,
Good.
yesterday.
So you were right.
How was
I
your
was
afternoon?
sleeping.
Great.
Good.
Should we put him on the?
Yeah.
Or is it maybe too sunny?
Yeah, it's a little bit hot,
Little
but
bit
if you want to, we can put him
No,
there for a while. But then we bring it back to the cooler when we're going out.
Okay.
I think we
Yeah.
have been out the whole afternoon.
All afternoon.
Yeah.
We would have stayed out much longer, but my cameraman got really tired,
Yeah, and
so he had to go home.
yeah, he's hungry.
He's hungry and tired.
He also master chef. He has to do the cooking.
No battery, and he's the chef.
Yeah. So we're glad you're back.
Thank you very much.
And also good news. I saw the high one, the tall Roebucks, which I'm hunting this morning.
You swim this afternoon?
Yeah. We went up from the wheat, and
So he's still inside the week.
yeah, he's laying down now again.
Perfect.
He went down again, and he went up for half a minute, and then he went down. I think he's sleeping.
Great.
Yeah.
So, you know the old abnorm we were looking for?
Yeah.
While we were calling inside of the forest, we could see the rape field.
Yeah.
And he came, what do you call the birch forest? Birken forest, the little square there?
Birk.
Birk?
Yeah.
He came out of that towards the big forest, and then halfway he suddenly stopped, and he must have found a scent of a female, and he followed the female all the way across the rape field, jumped over the road, and that was at like 1:15. And we've been waiting for him to come back into his territory since then, but he's still on that side. The only way he could have gone back is if he had come around here and crossed here, because this we wouldn't have seen. But it was definitely the buck. He was at, the first time we saw him at maybe 200 meters.
Okay. We'll find him.
So I think we'll probably stay with him this year, tonight, and then try the France buck tomorrow. What do you think?
No, I think he will go for Frankfurt tonight.
Yeah.
I think it's the other one we will get.
How did you shoot?
130 maybe.
Okay.
Not so bad. And your buck has been seen?
He went down.
Went down. Linus saw your buck?
Yeah.
He told me.
Same place?
Yeah.
I mean it. And he went down to sleep. Like me.
So should we have some lunch, dinner?
Yeah. But we need somebody to cook.
Ah. Should we then maybe, shall I take the camera?
Are you good for cooking?
Well, if you want fried eggs and toast.
It's your specialty.
That's
Like
my
this
specialty. I can do that. Maybe what... I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks to you because you prepared it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It took me all afternoon.
Almost.
In the middle of.
Yeah. We show him. He will stay out on the carrots. It's easy, more easier to get here quick and this stuff.
Lunchtime is just a short break. Soon, Franz-Albrecht is out again.
If you remember this morning, we saw the buck standing on the side of the wood here, looking towards us, deciding whether to come to the call or not, and then he disappeared here. So my plan is that we start working our way to one of these stones, and we'll be able to oversee his territory quite well. And then, the longer the evening unfolds, we'll be walking down the side of the wood, really walking into the center of his territory, and maybe doing a few calls in between. And I hope we'll see him somewhere.
Many deer stalkers prefer to bring a dog so that immediate assistance is at hand when a shot deer can't be found. When using a small terrier like Messi, the need for assistance sometimes goes both ways. That's what friends are there for, and both dog and owner enjoy each other's company on the outings.
It's about 300 meters from here. I don't know whether the buck is there. So it's going to be tough to approach. But I think we'll try and get a little bit closer.
Having reached the intended spot, Franz-Albrecht thoroughly examines his surroundings. Apparently nothing is moving, but there are lots of corners that need closer examination. And soon, he catches sight of the familiar shape of a roe deer in a patch of high grass. It's not the buck, though.
So we've seen the female. And before stalking further in, I just want to do a few calls to see whether the buck may be next to her and he'll just get up maybe. Or he'll start chasing her, or he'll come from somewhere else. If we don't have any reaction here after 20 minutes, half an hour, we'll start moving in closer and closer. We'll try and get around the hedge and see the high grass on the other side.
Once again, Franz-Albrecht gets his rifle in position before he starts calling. If the buck turns up, any movement can give him away.
Start like a kid.
Franz-Albrecht gets everything ready and starts calling. But apart from a short glance from the doe in the long grass, nothing happens. It's afternoon in the beautiful Swedish countryside. The distant sound of a combine harvester has an almost hypnotic effect. But the spell must be broken. Sitting here any longer won't bring Franz-Albrecht any bucks. But shifting position isn't uncomplicated.
It's frustrating. The wind is straight in our face. The buck, which is of course good because we're in this position, but the position is terrible because the buck is most likely on the other side of the hedge or in the potato field where we were waiting this morning. Both areas we can't see from where we are. So the wind couldn't be worse. And as frustrating as it is, I think we're going to change places and go back to our other big buck. And hopefully have better wind with him and come back for Franz buck tomorrow morning. But yeah, we haven't seen him for 4 years and he's been tough to get and he's still tough to get. And I hope tomorrow morning we have a better chance. But at the moment it's too unlikely that we'll get a shot tonight.
A last look at the willows and along the edge of the forest. What if the buck, against all odds, suddenly appeared? Negative. Time to move on.
We have some powerful electric fence wiring going on here. Mason, psst, psst. Come here.
Valuable time has been spent in the attempt of finding the Franz buck. With the current wind direction, further activities here would disturb too much. So back to the carrot field it goes.
We're back to the same place where we were this afternoon and where we shot the buck. And we're waiting for the big one to come back. I think we have a great chance to see him. The weather is perfect. So we're gonna move in and walk up on the edge of the forest and find the same position we were in this morning. And hopefully he'll come out in the carrots and feed at some point. Fuß. itself right now. That means its mama is around with a buck somewhere. So maybe our big buck is chasing the females.
The important thing is to find an open place in the wood from where he can also overlook the carrot field. Franz-Albrecht knows the area well enough to know just where to go. But he mustn't waste any time getting there. The sun is already low.
This morning. I'm hoping the buck will show itself somewhere in the field tonight, or even come into the carrot field right in front of us. He might even be in the forest behind us. Let's just start calling, and hopefully he'll pop up somewhere. Ah, there's one.
Soon the insistent peeps from the roe deer call can be heard in the silent evening. The sunset behind the old oaks is a beautiful sight, but it also tells us that time is running out now. Soon it will be too dark to continue hunting. Franz-Albrecht puts an extra effort into calling. A young buck appears in the dusk. Then something moves in between the birches.
Meters. Finally, a buck from Trolle Ljungby listens to my call. Finally. Psst. I was always checking the outside of the field if he's coming from that way. And I was also expecting him, if he was going to come on the edge of the forest. But he was sneaking inside in the thick brush. And if he had gone maybe 50 yards further, he would have been straight down our wind. And we had one last gap where we could take him, otherwise he would have just been in thick brush. And thank God we managed to take him. It's been a really long day. Been hunting all day long, no breaks, or hardly any breaks, just for some food. And finally, half an hour before it's dark, we get rewarded with one of the best bucks that I could ever imagine. With me. Just gonna give him a minute. Buck fever. Buck fever. All I could see was like a yellowish color in his coat. And I remember when he was in the field this morning, he was a yellowish color. And I saw a doe in the forest way down there while we were approaching. And when I was talking about the little fawn that it was by herself, I thought maybe that female that I see in the forest over there, who was very dark, reddish colored in her coat, is possibly with the buck. And the buck came exactly from that direction. So I think there is a possibility, because we're right in the center of his territory, even though he was with a female, the calling made him come and at least check what was going on here. So Linus is probably going to argue with me that he wasn't coming with a calling, he was just coming along because out of coincidence. But I definitely think the calling helped. So. Okay, I'm just going to get Macy to help me find the buck. Just have to check exactly where he was when I shot. But I think I know. It's an amazing thing, especially with this type of light in the evening and with this type of buck. It's just spectacular. Everything comes together for a hunter on a day like this. It's just perfect. Amazing. Come here. Macy. Macy. I think she was right all along. It turned around. Where? Ja, wo ist er denn? Zeig's mir den Bock. Where is the bucky? Ja, so ist sie brav. Ja, so ist sie brav. She was right all along. Ja, was? Mäßl. So ist sie brav. Ja, so ist sie brav. Ja. Du bist ja eine ganz brave. Ja. Ja, was? Ja, was? Ja, so. Psst. Na, na, Mäßl. Aus. Psst. 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 Wow. Yeah, he's a fantastic character. Fantastic character, Buck. Shh, Macy. Come here. It's come here. Macy, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here.
also a nice buck. Good purling, good coronets. And I really like his facial colors. With the light brown and the white, no? No. Yeah, we had to change positions from the Franz buck, who had the wind on his side tonight. And we went back to the place where we were this afternoon, where we shot the management buck and where we've been looking for him. And he was the big buck that was chasing a scent of a female out in the field this afternoon, and we waited for maybe 3.5 hours for him to come back, and he didn't. Then we had to go for some lunch or late lunch, early dinner, and just regroup with everyone and hear what everybody else had been doing, and also get the buck that we had shot into the cooler. And coming back tonight, I wasn't sure where he was going to be. I was expecting him to be back in his territory, but at the same time he could have been still chasing females somewhere on the other side of the road. And so we decided to set up exactly the same place where we were hunting this afternoon. And I just started calling very quietly. We had one young buck out in the field, and otherwise nothing was moving. And I was already getting a little worried, also with the light. It was getting dark. And suddenly I saw a movement inside the forest. And I saw a yellow coat. And I thought this could be him. But I couldn't see his head for a while. And then at one point I actually managed to just see a glimpse of his coronets, and I knew it was him. And then we had one gap between two trees where we could stop him before he would disappear in the brush again. And thank God we managed to stop him there, and the shot was okay. And Macy found him, and it's a perfect ending to a perfect day. In Sweden on the 16th of August, 2017. Doesn't get better. The pinnacle of buck hunting. And the buck itself, he's an old buck. He was an abnormal buck last year. And this year you can see he's really pulling his coronets down. He's heavy pearled, which we love. And in the tops, he's getting thin. He's losing his points. And I think it's a perfect time to take him. And as you saw, there's a very nice young buck out there who'll probably take his place and hopefully also grow into something special one day. And he's really an old buck. He's missing nearly all of his teeth in the front. So I think Finn is really right, because he said this buck is probably exactly the same age as the one we shot this afternoon. Great. Okay. Thank you for finding it.
What a day, and what a way to start the Roebuck hunt. The cell phone makes it easy to record and share valuable moments. And this moment certainly is one of those. But the dim light in between the trees aren't the best for photo sessions. Franz-Albrecht drags his buck out in the open to get better pictures, and is met by an unexpected sight in the carrot field.
He's another buck that's on the list. I don't think we'll take him tonight, but he's also got no front tines, no back tines. And he's probably one to shoot because he's just too dangerous for other bucks. But we're happy with what we have. We're just gonna take him back to the house and set him up nicely, take pictures. Just enjoy the rest of the day.
So I heard Jean-Dominique also swapped places tonight from the big tall 6-pointer he was on back to the energy wood buck that he was hunting since last year. And I hope that they got lucky, because we only have a day left and it's been tougher than we thought, even though the weather's been good, but they've just been avoiding us a little bit. Even though Finn and Linus have done the most amazing job in preparing the hunt and taking all the pictures and knowing exactly where they are and scouting them. But I couldn't be more happy, and of course it would be ideal if Jean-Dominique also shot one tonight and we could celebrate together, but otherwise it's another day tomorrow. And it's just such a such a pleasure to be able to hunt in Sweden on the 16th, and then Trolle Ljungby, of course, is one of the best places. Not only for management, but also for trophy, and people are amazingly nice, and it's just almost coming home to family. And it's my fourth or fifth year running now, and I hope that it won't stop.
A photo to remember the day by. Then back to the others with a story to tell.
So then he came a little bit closer, and all I could see was one of the coronets. So I knew it was him. And then we had one gap between two trees where we knew if we didn't stop him there, he would get into thicker brush and then catch our wind, because our wind was going straight in. And we managed to stop him, and thankfully I hit him. And then he went off a little bit, and Macy, and we thought he went to the right, so I put Macy on the spur, and Macy kept on going left. And I called her back and I said, no, you should try this. And she always went left, and I let her go left, and I said, okay, well, she obviously doesn't know what she's doing. And I was trying to look this way, and I couldn't find anything. And then I called her, and she came back with this look on her face. Yes, I found it, come with me.
Okay, clever dog.
No, really?
Yeah, so the buck did this, I mean, 40 meters, but...
So it came from this forest to the left, from here? Not from the small one?
Not from the small one, he was back in his territory.
Okay.
So sometime while we were having late lunch or whatever we were doing, he must have come from that side over across the field. Great.
Beautiful.
How about a drink?
Yeah.
Yes,
Good
you are doing
suggestion.
the gin tonic now.
I'm doing gin. You want a gin tonic?
Why not? Yes.
A wine? Yes. Okay.
No, gin tonic.
What about you guys?
Yeah, gin tonic.
Jesus.
Gin tonic.
Yeah, you squeeze a bit lemon now.
What a day.
No, I
What
go
a
with you,
place.
I go with you.
And what a roe deer population. 2 distinctive roebucks were shot at the carrot field, only a few hundred meters apart from one another, and with an interval of just a few hours. Trolle Ljungby once again delivered pure magic with fabulous roebucks in a magnificent countryside. Golden bucks in the golden wheat. Who can ask for anything more? Some photos show franz-albrecht's first buck, as seen through the lens of Finn Saxlu Andersen, the photographer. Here are some takes of his second buck, a truly magnificent deer and a worthy quarry. And finally, a snapshot of a happy hunter. He can smile after a day as successful as they get, but also in appreciation of the days to come, with even more exciting roe deer adventures on the historic hunting grounds of Trolle Ljungby, Sweden.
We hope you've enjoyed this free episode. To continue watching, start your free trial now.